Okay, we're in a bit of a studious mood today. Now, we're continuing with the story of Sarah Elizabeth Baynes and her diary in 1942 in Harrogate. Now, I did do a little story. It's either an audio blog or podcast or something about the Baynes of Nidderdale and the question of whether your name should be Bayne or Baynes, because Sarah and Annie, my grandmother, left some books that they'd been willed by their great uncle, who was the Lord Mayor of Ripon for many years. If I just refer back to, his name was John Baynes. He was born in 1831, and he married a lady called Maud, who came from Brighton, would you believe? But the thing is that these good ladies, Sarah and her sister Annie, whose father was William Baynes, who was a slater and builder in Harrogate, but died at a fairly early age. They were direct descendants of the family of William the Conqueror. And their uncle, this great uncle, John Baynes from Ripon, helped to fund 3 books which trace the family history of the Baynes of it's actually Bayne of Nidderdale, because while they lived in Nidderdale, they were called Bayne, and when they left the Dale, then their name became Baynes. They added an S to it. So John Baynes, who lived in Ripon, was Baynes, and Sarah and Annie's father, William Baynes, was Baynes because he lived in Harrogate, but in fact their origins were all in Nidderdale. Many of them, and John Baynes, for instance, this chap who was born in 1831, went to the school at Ripley, and then eventually he moved to Ripon, where he had his business, quite well off. But he produced or helped to fund these books in the late 1800s by a chap called Lucas, that trace the family history with lots and lots of these family trees, pedigrees, because over the years, you imagine from the late 1000s or late 11th century, as you know, families were quite large. In fact, John Baynes, his 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, he had, I think, 8. There were 8 children in his family. That's William Baynes and Mary Long. There's at least 8 children in their family. So most of them got married. Most of them had some children. So that's just one little bit. And you imagine from the 11th century right up, there were dozens of branches of the family in different pedigrees, as they were living in different parts of the Dale. There was even a branch in Scotland. So this book, or these 3 books that were left by Mary, Annie and Sarah Elizabeth, I happen to have 2 of them, which I'm very fortunate to have. They're very heavy reading, but they do show that the family were directly descended from the Williams family, who came basically around Bayeaux, and hence the name changed from Bayeaux eventually to Bayne, and then to Baynes. I don't know if there's many about. Maybe you folks who are watching this on YouTube might be able to tell me if there are any more Baynes that you know of in and around Ripon or Ripley or Harrogate. I don't think you'll find many. But there's some in America I know of. But there are very few at the moment, and I would very dearly like to find some more. Of course, they are related to other families in the area, because William Baynes, that's the builder from Harrogate, who was the father of Sarah and Annie, he married a lady called Anne Leake. We're looking at the family of Sarah Elizabeth and her sister Mary Annie. Her mum, Anne Leake, who married William Baynes, had a sister called Mary Ann Leake, who married a chap called John Kent. They had several children, and Mary Elizabeth Kent, who looks to be not the eldest, probably, no, third eldest child. They had 6 children. Married a chap called John Hodgson Ingram, who they had, my golly, 6, 7. They had 8 children. One was Edith Helena Ingram, whose daughter is my nearest relative and lives in Knaresborough at the moment. That's Frida. So there we are. You see, Frida is a distant cousin of mine, and looking back at all these folks, it's an accident of birth, isn't it? Who you end up being or who you were. So Sarah Elizabeth and Mary Anne were descendants of the house of Bayeaux in the 11th century, when William came over to England, and he gave land to all his senior compatriots and the folks who fought for him, all over Yorkshire, Lincolnshire, the north of England. It's an incredible amount. They became the major landowners of the country. The Normans took over England, didn't they? So there we are. So we'll do a bit more about Sarah Elizabeth and Mary Anne very shortly when I catch up. It does take some working on, because I actually changed the diaries into audio, but they're all in pencil and handwritten, and were very difficult to work out. But as time goes on, you'll find that Sarah has a lot more to say about her niece, Hilda, and his daughter. So I hope you found that a little bit interesting today. I don't keep looking at the camera, do I? But until next time, thanks for being with us. Don't forget, look at the website. Have a look at all the other things Crackerbooks do, including these videos and the podcasts and the books. Cheerio.